In the old times, people used to worship trees and were living near them, in the wild. It gave them balance. Their life was truly connected.
Latgale is a very ancient Baltic region, east of Latvia, with a common border with Russia. Nowadays it's European, but it managed to remain wild and to preserve its identity throughout the ages. The green fleece that covers the landscape reminds one of a fur dotted with countless bodies of water. This is the region of the lakes. Hanging onto the edge of the woods, some inhabitants seem to live an ancestral life, accepting willingly the hardship of a life so close to nature. The hardest part for those who made that choice isn't to make do with quite an uncomfortable way of life, but rather to maintain this lifestyle and to avoid being dragged into the constraints of modern life.
At the beginning of the 90s, there was an open position for a forest warden. The regional forest office helped me renovate this small house, and that's how we moved in here, in '93, around Christmas time. Here in Latgale, I have my roots. I was born in this region. The forest is my element. It's my life. I've grown so accustomed to it that I can hardly see myself living anywhere else. Working in a factory, for instance, is something difficult to imagine. For me, this is something obvious. I'm made like this. I feel good in the wilderness, and how can I put this? This is where I feel the most genuine. The city? Well, I only actually pass through it. We've had bees for 5 years now. Maybe not quite as long as that. I'm quite familiar with these little insects because my uncle had some too. But these particular bees were left to me in an inheritance from my cousin after he passed away. So I started to work with them and I liked it. I felt the need to continue taking care of them. As far as we're concerned, we've been living here for quite a number of years already, and to be honest, we hope we'll spend the rest of our lives in this place. History. I already liked the subject when I was at school. Funny enough, the further away the period we studied was, the more interested I was. As we got closer to our time, everything seemed complicated and fuzzy, whereas the Middle Ages seemed to me more concrete, more clear.
In the eyes of today's Latgallians, one of the historical periods they're most proud of takes place around 1000 AD. This period, during the Middle Ages, captivates because of the lifestyle and values of the time, based on nature. And so many of the region's inhabitants quite literally fell in love with that period, becoming in the process true experts, and going as far as making their own garments, shoes, swords, or jewels, all the while adhering faithfully to the smallest detail. They gather as brotherhoods and regularly organize forest expeditions to experience once more the feelings of yore.
This region has had a strong influence in the history of Latvia. Most of the territory of current Latvia was inhabited by the Latgallians of yore. And it is, by the way, the Latgallian word Latgale that is at the core of the name Latvia. All in all, nothing has changed much over the last 900 or 1000 years. Beekeeping still exists, hunting too. When it comes to ceramics, we make them according to the methods of our ancestors. In truth, nothing has changed. On second thoughts, perhaps man has changed, but the traditions are still the same. Latgallians had a distinctive characteristic during the Middle Ages. They always brought the corpses of soldiers who had died in battle back to their land. This idea was copied by other armies afterwards. This relation to the land is a very important value. We can still feel it in the form of a very strong friendship that binds the people in the area. We never give up on our people here. You see, each man owes it to himself to be worthy of his own story. He must make it beautiful and ensure that it is not forgotten. I feel like people at the time lived in a more true fashion, more real, compared with people today. Life conditions were, of course, much tougher, but that's precisely what I find fascinating. They are remote ancestors indeed, but I feel like their values echo in the life I live, close to the forest.